GM, VM. It's Monday, and we're all here. It's October 2nd. This is VM GM, and we are the editors of Vagobond magazine. We're here with a bright, shiny issue for you guys. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's everything that we all hoped it would be. And we're joined by our cover model, our friend Emily Lazar is here. We're going to bring her up on the stage as well. Cryptoversal Books is coming up. We've got Riona Morgan, E.R. Donaldson, Indefatigable, Quanta, myself, CD Demitio. We're all here, and we're going to be joined by others. So let's get things going. How are you guys today?
GM, this is Riona Morgan, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you and sending out a very special welcome to our featured guest, Emily. Thank you so much for coming. I can't wait to hear everything that's going on.
Same here. This is definitely the highlight of my week right now. So thank you, everybody, and special thanks to Emily for joining us. Looking forward to the conversation.
Good morning, good evening, all you beautiful people here. It's such a wonderful start to a new week, and it's so lovely to have our featured guest here, Emily, join us. Welcome to the show.
Sorry, I get hyped. Welcome, everybody. I'm so happy to be here, too. And welcome, Emily. Oh, man, this is a fly issue. It's so good. Anyway, I'm going to shut up. I'm so happy to be here.
Happy October, everyone. It's awesome. The magazine is amazing, as always. And I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Well, hey, while we're here, let's start out with a little bit of September morning. We put this on the Vagobond magazine vibes playlist, by the way. So Spotify, if you listen to that, you'll find it. Also, so let's start out with this. Everybody go, invite your friends, invite your family, invite everybody to the space. But let's listen to a little bit and start this Monday off with a bit of Unholy.
Attraction, our physical lines blur, bodies unfurl into each other. They were meant for this death, chemical bliss, and I don't wanna be saved. No, I'm down on my knees, my soul in disguise. I pray for the devil inside. If I can't be saved from burning alive, I pray for the devil inside.
Man, oh man, what a way to start a Monday. Unbelievable. I was going to go through the whole track, but I know you guys are ready to get started. Now, look, I say VM, GM, but we should also say SM, GM, VM, because September morning, Emily Lazar's band, that's what we're just listening to. And so SM, VM, GM, all the M's, all the people, all the G's, all the people. But, you know, I'm a fan of Emily, and I think all of you are, but I know who's a bigger fan than I am, and that's E.R. Donaldson. This is like your style of music. This is like you're here for it, right, E.R.?
Oh, yeah. No, cleared my schedule. No, and that's Emily. This is such an honor. You know, when I Heard you were going to be in the issue here. First thing I did was pull you up on my streaming app, listen to volume 2, 3, and 4, the new one you had out, and bought volume 1 online in hard copy for my comic book shelf. So seriously, such a fan here. Love what you're doing. Can't wait to have you tell us a little bit more about that.
Now, I should point out that Emily is on tour. She's flying, she's traveling. She woke up early to join us here, so I think she's going to come in when she can and join us if you guys have some questions. But for the moment, let's just dive into the issue. This is our October-November 2023 issue. It's available on Rarible, available on OpenSea. You can buy it on Object. You can buy it on Kindle if you want to buy it there. And it's available for you. First of all, the cover is, well, it's Emily, so it's a beautiful cover. We're super stoked to have her as our cover model, but let's go ahead and open up the issue and start looking at what we got here. So the first thing that we have is our VMV playlist on Spotify. There's a QR code that'll take you to that. Now, our friend that put that together, Quanta, can you tell us a little bit about, hey, Emily, you're here with us. Awesome.
Yeah, I have like 5 minutes because I'm in the studio today recording, but like we're taking a break. So I thought I'd jump up on stage and say hi to everyone. Thank you for having me on the cover. I love the magazine. It's amazing. I think we sold an issue already, so that's pretty cool.
We barely launched. So where can you tell us where you are right now? We know you're in the studio, but you've been doing some traveling.
Yeah, we're in Michigan right now. We record, like, one of the places we record is in Michigan. And we're writing a new song for that'll be put out on Gala. But we do have a new song that is dropping this week on Gala on Thursday called Rise, and it's kind of like a collab with Oni Force. So it's like us, Oni Force, and Gala together for Rise. And this song is a beast, you guys. Like, I'm not even kidding. We listened to it a bunch, like on the drive up here, because I flew into Cincinnati where my guitarist is, and then we drove like up here to Michigan to record. So we were listening to Rise, and it's crazy. The energy of that song is insane. It's so intense. Like, I just want to go like punch something. But it's really great. It's pretty much inspired by Oni Force and their community and like all of the lore behind Oni Force. So all the lyrics are pertaining to Oni Force, but there's a general theme of like rising up against things that is kind of just universal, I think, for everyone. So it's definitely relatable. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, I'm looking for the opportunity to snag that one on Gala. Last time I checked, it seems like your stuff goes pretty quickly, so I've been missing the opportunity. But I did see you also announced your tour dates coming up, and it seemed like you guys have a lot over in the Midwest, close to the Green Bay area, where I actually grew up. Are you guys Midwest based?
The band is actually based out of Cincinnati now. All of our gear and everything like that. My guitarist lives in Cincinnati. Actually, both of my guitarists live in Cincinnati, and our merch girl lived there. So like me and the drummer fly in. And yeah, we do have tour dates all over the Midwest and East Coast for about 2.5 weeks. We're out on the road with Taproot, which is a band from like the 2000s, 2010s, like that was pretty big in rock, and they're doing a comeback tour. So they asked us to open for them, so we were like, sure. I had no idea who these guys were. I literally had to look them up. But apparently they have a couple of songs that people really know and love, and it's been selling pretty well. A couple hundred people per show on this one, and it's probably like small theaters, so pretty good. So it should be a lot of fun.
Cool stuff. Yeah, I also loved reading your interview. That it seems like your NFT connection or collections there double as backstage passes there. So that is some really cool functionality there. I'm going to see if I can snag one and get over the pond to see you guys.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, every time if you have an NFT of ours, you can come to a show for the meet and greet for free, which is like a $75 to $150 value just on its own. So it gives you intrinsic value with the NFT. So they're definitely worth like picking up one of them, just so if you ever come to a show, you've got that. You have to pay for the general admission ticket, but the VIP and back.
Awesome stuff. Well, I won't fanboy on you too much longer here. I'm sure some of my other editors have some questions, but again, thanks for taking some time out of the recording here. I'm looking forward to the new stuff you're putting out. Also looking forward to the next edition of the graphic novel. Loved Volume 1, as I was saying earlier. Now a permanent part of my collection here. So I'm looking forward to the new stuff you're putting out.
Yeah, we're really excited about writing the new books that are coming out. Like the new storyline is so amazing. Like I'm so into it. And we're looking at different artists right now and things like that to collab with on it, and it's very, very exciting. So that should be coming out first quarter, second quarter next year. The first book. So be on the lookout for that as well. And yeah, I hope you can snag one of these Oniforce. Like they're going to be really cool, and you do get a free Oniforce NFT with my NFT, so you get 2 NFTs for one. So it's a really cool little drop, and there's a lot of all access things that go along with it, and which is like weird merch and things like that, like bandanas, hats, like keychains, like things like that you can get if you have one of these NFTs. So there's like a lot of really fun stuff like around this drop. So I can't wait for you guys to check it out.
If I could ask real quick, Emily, I think it's really funny that you're touring with Taproot. Are they aware of the Bitcoin reference to Taproot?
I don't think they are. I don't know if they're into Bitcoin, but I'm definitely going to be talking to them about that. And I'm sure they're going to be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But yeah, like when it's funny because when our agent presented it to me, I was like, oh, Taproot, like in Bitcoin. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So it was just so funny. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool too. I mean, hey, it's like a crypto tour. What are you going to do?
Hey, and for those who haven't read the interview or who don't know this, Emily is a crypto Bitcoin OG. She's been in it for a long time, and also I just want to point out that when I first brought this cover idea and this pitch idea to our crew, the very first thing they were like, "What are you trying to turn the magazine into?" Because Emily, I mean, you're beautiful, and the cover is so different from everything that we put on the covers before. And then I was like, no, you got to read the interview, man. You got to check it out. This is like so perfect. And as soon as they did, they were just like so everybody was on board, especially ER, I'll say. And by the way, ER, you're in Michigan. There must be like a big heavy metal presence in Michigan, I would guess.
I wouldn't go that far. I kind of feel like I'm an outlier here. So.
There's some metal in Michigan. I mean, my producers here, like there's some really cool local bands, but a lot of the people he works with fly in. He works with like Craig Owens, and I mean he's worked with like Joey Sturgis, who's a big producer in metal. So like Nick, our producer, was his like right hand for a number of years. That's how he was basically trained to do what he does. And then he started kind of going off on his own, and we met him. He works with IC Stars and a lot of different bands that kind of fly in. But there is a metal presence over here in Michigan, believe it or not.
Yeah, and that's what I grew up in the rural part, up closer to Wisconsin. I always loved that there was at least one tour stop. The bands would go out of their way to hit a small little Green Bay, Wisconsin there, and that was my concert experience growing up. In early college, taking the hours long drive to get over there. So yeah, there are some fans. I'm just not necessarily a metal haven, I would characterize.
Yeah, for sure. There's that venue that's kind of like in a tent or something in Green Bay. We were supposed to play there with Combi Christ, but I got like deathly ill, and so like we had to cancel our set like on the tour. I've never like missed a set on tour. That was like the first and last one I've ever missed, but it was gnarly. It was during the winter, so it was pretty bad. And I think back then we weren't touring in the vehicle we're touring now, so it was harder on us. So, but yeah.
Yeah, winter in Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's especially in an outdoor venue. That would be pretty metal in itself.
Oh yeah, we played such weather like inclement weather on tour at outdoor venues is like I just laugh at it now, especially when it's really hot. Like we played the parking lot of the MGM casino with Rob Zombie in Vegas one year, and it was probably like 120 degrees on the asphalt, and like we were baking. Like I was up there, and I like every like chorus of the song, like I was seeing stars, like this like dots that you get when you like overheat, and your body's like, I'm gonna shut down, so be prepared to fall on the floor. Like I was literally, and the sun would like come and hit us on the stage, but there was like a overhang. So the overhang was like giving you a little bit of shade. So I would stand back. I started at the front of the stage where it was all sunny, and I towards the end of the set I was like back near the drums because it's the only part that was like cooler than like 95 degrees, and I was in a leather outfit at that time, and it was just brutal. I was like, oh my god, I couldn't even move. It was so hot. It was insane, but it's a good show. But yeah, we've done a lot of those inclement weather outdoor things before.
Yeah, I can only imagine, especially with you being up in your persona, in the white and the leather there, like that's got to be a different experience entirely. So you said you go after a lot of these smaller venues too. Is that kind of the case?
It just depends. It depends on the tour. I mean, like with Taproot, it'll be like large clubs, small theaters, for the different shows. Depending on it, really kind of depends on the city too, because some cities just don't have the venues, right? But we route through them, so our agent books in those cities whatever they got. So it's kind of like we just do whatever the booking is. But it just kind of depends. But with Taproot, it'll probably be like large clubs, small theaters with them. And then when we do our headline shows, it can be anything from like a medium sized club to a small theater. But yeah, that's usually kind of like what we're looking at.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. And I actually do have some Taproot albums I'm going to have to dust off from the early 2000s here. So that this just got me so excited. Now, when you bring into more of your comic book acting, your persona, do you reserve that for your headline shows, or is that going to be part of this tour as well?
No, we have like in between the songs there's like a voiceover and like graphic novel animation that happens. So like from front to back, like even the intro is all about the graphic novel and fate and like what he's trying to do to September and all this. Like it's a story from the jump. So we try to transport you into the world, even if it's for a half an hour set, like or 45-minute set. Like we try to put you into that world and make sure that we do as much of it as we can.
That's just so awesome and such a different way to do it. I mean, way to distinguish you guys. So I'm gonna have to see about getting some tickets, and if I do, I'll definitely swing by and say hi.
I'd appreciate that. That would be so fun to see you. Yeah, and definitely try to grab one of those Oni Force so you can do the meet and greet if we do one on that date. That'd be great.
Hey, and talking about costumes, your costumes are so amazing, and that's a great transition for me to say that Quanta had her hand up. Quanta is our fashion editor at VM, and I'm sure she has something to say here. Quanta, the mic's yours.
Thank you. Thanks, CD. Hi, Emily. I'm just so blown by what you wear at your performances. And so I was reading the interview, and you mentioned that you portray a character who called September, who is a human hybrid reaper. I'm so curious. I mean, how do you work your costume out? Is it something that you design and get it uh, tailor made for you and for the band, or is it something that you see outside that inspires you to create that look? How do you
So
go about this?
yeah, so the costuming is I design everything. So I'm really hands on when it comes to the look. Like I like doing everything custom. Like I don't want anybody to be able to get it anywhere. Like it needs to be like specific for what we do. And the September costume especially, when I first started the band, when I was messing around with costuming, I was sewing this stuff myself. So I was using like the worst material, like just, I mean, it should have just been a burlap sack at that time, but I was making corsets out of what is that that material, it's like it almost feels like cardboard, and I was making these corsets and like these little pantaloons, and like I was just doing it myself because I didn't have anybody to work with at that time. And then it kind of evolved into leather when I started working with this guy Eric Oswong, who was a kind of like a scene kid who like kind of got into like the goth scene and then started doing these crazy designs. And I did a bunch of photo shoots for him and his line. And then I was like, could you do something, help me with this costume? So that's when the armor side of it, I mean, it always had like an armor side, but that was mostly like when that kind of like came in to it. And that was all because I was looking up like warrior costumes from like, the, I don't know, like kind of like Greek and Roman times. So like all that sort of look. And then I was looking up the Japanese, like, oh no, it's all good. No, I'll go outside, dude. You do your thing.
I don't mind the headphones actually.
Oh really? Is it good?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I never use them, and I
Those are nice. Those Sennheisers are good though.
yeah, it feels like I'm crawling into it. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, so sorry guys. But yeah, so like I was all into like that warrior Valkyrie look. So I wanted to do something with that. But in order to do it, we chose leather, which was like not the greatest thing to choose because to make it look like the armor, it needed to be kind of stiff. So I would like wear this corset on stage that literally when I would take it off, I had welts all over my back from wearing it for like 45 minutes because it was just not, it was just not conducive to like moving like I move. So like that didn't work out very well. And then we went to a softer leather, which was better, and that worked out better. And then I went from Eric to somebody else because Eric couldn't really work with that sort of pliable material. So I had to go to somebody else to help me do it. And I changed the look a little bit more. And then I went to silicone polymer, which was with Dan Richter's, and Dan Richter's makes all these like high fashion like dresses out of this silicone polymer. And I had walked in one of his runway shows for 1 year in Los Angeles. So he was like, "Do you want to like try to do your costume in silicone polymer?" And I was like, "Oh my God, it would be a dream," because I loved wearing this stuff. It was just, it feels like a second skin and like you don't notice it. And I wanted like a costume that I wouldn't notice. I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this, I have to move like this because I can't move like that. So the silicone polymer is amazing. It's almost like a latex, like a thicker latex on your body. So I use that and it's worked out really well. But this is like the 14th version of this costume because we just went through so many different versions since about 2014 when we started like really touring, and it was just like we had to find the right one. And then the guys costumes were these bigger leather jackets before that I had come up with Eric, and they had these spikes on them and it was a whole thing, but it was just very hard for them to put the guitars on and like jumping and moving and stuff like that. So when I went to the silicone polymer, I kind of like got a lot of inspiration from like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, things like that, like as a sleeker sort of design base. And then I kind of did these weird sort of like almost Japanese inspired like hooded Reaper jackets. And they can move so well in them, and they look really cool when they jump and spin and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of the evolution of the costuming.
Thanks. That is amazing. I mean, what a journey. I mean, it started with something that you went through hell to get a look. So, am I correct to understand that a look is really important to your performance and for your songs? Like as a performer, what weightage do you give to fashion?
Yeah, I mean, I was really inspired by fashion growing up. Like I loved like fashion magazines and, fashion shows and Dior and Runway and like, I mean, I went to FIT for like a minute until I got kicked out, but like, so I learned about fashion design and all this sort of stuff. So fashion's always been like a huge like thing for me. So when I decided to do September Morning and World Build, I was like, okay, well, it's got to have its own unique sort of fashion. It's got to look a certain way because I thought the look was very important to the feel of like the music and the story and the characters, and they have, everything kind of like it's world building, right? You see a movie or you see like a comic book movie, especially like, Iron Man or whatever. Like, what would Iron Man be without his suit? The suit is part of it. It's part of like what makes him, right? So September, she has her suit. Like it's part of what makes her her.
Thank you so much for sharing this. I'm really taken in with your concept of world building in your performances and through your writing. It's at the core of every art form. And I'd just like to re-quote what you said in what you mentioned in your interview, that good art always tells a story. So thank you for that, because that is so strong that I think binds the entire art world. The storyline is the strongest factor that holds all the different mediums of art. So thank you.
Thank you. And as a fashion editor, like especially in high fashion, like one of my favorite designers is John Galliano, and I love all of his stuff from the '90s on to now. But like and it's because he tells stories. Like all of his runways, they were stories, and it was so important to me growing up like on fashion like that I saw all those stories being told. Mugler is another one, like same thing, storytelling like in fashion. And you don't think of that really, like when you think of fashion you don't think of like storytelling, but like when I look at a line, that's the first thing I'm like, okay, what's the story being told here? Like, what are they trying to convey to the audience? Like, what emotional component are they trying to give to the audience so that they will be emotionally bound to this clothing? And so that's what I look at. So it's pretty deep with me with fashion, but yeah, I love it.
This is amazing. Amazing. I love your point of view.
Emily, I know that you said you had limited time, but do you have time for a couple more questions from our other editors?
Yeah, sure.
Rihanna, go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Emily. I'm Rihanna Morgan, and I'm so very excited to meet you here today. And I was so intrigued by your interview with CD when you were talking about going to a performing arts school and that you were a ballerina. And I have a theater background, and so I'm always so um, attracted and enthralled by people who also have a theater background, because I feel like we can speak a similar language and we have a similar outlook. And one of the pieces that you said in your interview was when people have a theater background, you kind of look at the world a little bit differently. And I just thought, it'd be really wonderful to hear you expound on that and broaden that for the audience here, for people who are listening now and in the future, because I just think that it's a beautiful piece. And so please, if you wouldn't mind, speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I grew up like I started dancing when I was 4 years old. So I used ballet to get away from my home life because it was a shit show at home. So so I needed something to focus on to keep me sane and keep me okay. And ballet, again, world building, right? Like it's like I built a world in ballet that was like my safe haven. And so that ballet is interesting because it's movement, it's dance, it's storytelling, obviously, but it's also costuming, it's also lighting, it's also like set building, it's also like orchestration, it's music, I mean, there's so much within ballet that people don't really realize that goes into like a performance of Swan Lake or Coppelia or Romeo and Juliet, which is one of my favorite ballets ever. Like it's just there's so much involved. So for me, being so young, being part of that world, it's like my whole outlook on life when I looked at creating or when I just look at life in general, even when I'm just talking to people, I'm just like, what's your story? Like where do your decisions come from? Where I just think it's really interesting. It's almost like psychological in a way, but it's like I think the most interesting component of humanity is the fact that we are all storytellers and our stories are created by ourselves once we set foot in this world. Like that we are beginning our own story. So it's just something that is intuitive to our psychological like being. So I don't know. I just think that that's kind of like how I look at the world and that's kind of how I create.
Thank you so much. That's really beautiful. And like most theater kids, their story is very much like yours. They utilize it to escape home. And what I've always said, I was a theater director for years. And what I've always said is, you are loved and I love you. So I'm passing that on to you as well. You are loved and I love you. And thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay, and I also want to give Indefatigable a chance to come up and say something. He's also a musician, storyteller, artist. Indy, the mic is yours.
I am just enthralled with the passion and the fusion of multidisciplinary creativity from comic books to music to stagecraft and performance art. It's amazing, the whole package. I love that you're in the studio working right now. We're so honored just to have you here. And the final piece, I'm the tech editor, so I just want to know, like, what got you into blockchain early? And I know you're running out of time. I just really was curious, just for like, what drew you to the space? Yeah.
It was like a fluke, you guys. It wasn't like, oh, it's so cool, crypto. So nothing like that. I was literally in a writing session in Vegas with Kane Churko, who's a friend of mine, who his father's Kevin Churko, who did all the Five Finger Death Punch stuff and got really famous. He worked under Mutt Lang and stuff like that. So Kane was a friend of mine. So Kane and I used to sit in the studio and write songs together in Vegas. I would just drive out there and do it. So one day I drove out there in 2014 and I had just got signed to Virgin Records. It was like in January. And Kane's like, hey, we're in the studio and we're trying to write a chorus and we're coming up with the stupidest shit. Like it was not working. He's like, we need to take a break. And he's like, that's okay because I need to buy some Bitcoin. And I was like, what's a Bitcoin? Like that sounds like a made up, like, what are you, this is made up. And he's like, no, it's like new currency and this and that. It's on the blockchain. And it's like, this is the future, man. And I'm like, all right, like how much weed have you been smoking during this session? And he's like, no, you gotta check this stuff out. So when I went to the hotel from the studio that night to finish up some of the writing, I was sitting there and I was like, I gotta check out this Bitcoin stuff. And so I looked it up and I looked about Satoshi and this and that, the other, and I was like, this is kind of interesting. And I was like, yeah, I'll just buy a Bitcoin. I think it was like, I bought the top in January of 2014. I bought right before, I think like, what was it, Mount Dox or something hit and everything just took a shit. But like, but I bought it at like $700 or something. So I bought a Bitcoin. And I stuck it in a Coinbase wallet and I sat on it because I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what it was. And I was going on tour and I just got signed and I was making an album. I wasn't into this. I didn't have the time to spend to really deep dive. And it stayed there until the pandemic. And when the pandemic rolled around, I had no money because we couldn't tour. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Then I was like, oh yeah, I have that Bitcoin sitting in that wallet. I wonder how much it's worth. And I open it up and I'm like, holy Christ, excuse my language, but I was like, why is this worth so much money? I was so confused, you guys. So then, of course, I read the Bitcoin Standard, and I was in clubhouse rooms, and I was with all the Bitcoin maxis. I was talking to Jason Williams and Robert McCormick, and like, I mean, all the Bitcoin guys. And I became like a staple in clubhouse Bitcoin maxi rooms because I was like the punk rock metal chick that was like loving Bitcoin. So, um, and I learned everything I could about it. And that led me into like Ethereum, and that led me into NFTs. And then I became the first female rock musician to mint one. And then, I mean, so it was just kind of like I went down the rabbit hole deep during the pandemic because the pandemic was horrible and we lost a lot of people and it was a horrible thing. But I'm going to tell you right now, I would have never been able to be what I'm doing right now if it wasn't for the pandemic, because I wasn't slowing down as a musician, and I'm back at my pace now. But as a musician, like, you just don't stop. Like, people are like, oh my God, you keep doing stuff. And I was like, well, you can't stop because you have a window, and you got to like hit it hard during that window and make as much noise and as much like advance as you can, or else sometimes you don't get that window back. So like so that's kind of like what I had been doing. And then when the pandemic hit, it forced me to stop everything. But being someone that's a workaholic, it was like I was playing like video games like 10-12 hours a day. Like The Witcher, I was playing that game, which I still haven't finished because it's the longest game in the fucking world. But like, and I was playing Cyberpunk, and I was playing I was playing the new Spider-Man. I was like all into video games because I had nothing to do. So when I found this obsession with Bitcoin, it was like, oh my God, like something to actually wrap my mind around. So for me, it was awesome.
Yes, 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 yes. That answer was better than anything I anticipated, and it's so cool.
It was just such a fluke. Talk about like the universe being like, hey, you got to like look into this shit. Like, I mean, it's literally like the only reason why I did is because of the pandemic.
But it's just really cool to have you in the space. Everybody should check out your stuff on all your platforms. Follow Emily, and if you're checking this out, like, it's still early. That's what we always say. That's the constant litany in the space, and you can be a piece of this incredible history. Yeah.
And and even though it's still early, we have a really strong community here. You guys don't fade it, because like this is like small armies move fucking societies. That's how things start, and that's how they conquer. The smallest of armies are the ones that you have to watch out for, because they have the most heart. So just keep on going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm so hyped.
That was so beyond any answer that I expected as well. Especially that last part, Emily. You made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. There's not many of them there, but yes, small armies. Our small army has one more person we haven't heard from, Cryptoversal Books. I want to give you a chance if you have something that you wanted to say or ask Emily before she has to go. Now's your chance, my friend.
Thanks, CD. Yeah, Emily, I just want to say how blown away I am by anyone who is multi-talented at anything. Just blows me away that someone can show a talent in an area, and then you look and, oh, they're also doing this, and they're also doing this, and they're also doing that. And that also anyone who is embracing technology, taking leaps, looking at new ways of doing things that have never been done before, and you've got the entire package that you've been able to put together, and I just want to just say how impressed I am. And I don't have a specific question, but maybe I do. Do you find it hard to change gears sometimes between all the things you're doing, or does it just flow from it's all from one source?
I think because the storyline and characters are universal across board, I'm just making things around them, so everything. And for me, I'm somebody that like I can't sit on a certain thing for too long. Like I have to do music and then I got to do some comic books and then I got to go design something. Like I can't just sit on something for years. Like I got to do a lot of different things creatively or I get bored. So that's how I feed myself. That's how I don't know. That's how I feel like I do my best when I'm doing it like that, you know? So and it's worked out pretty well, you know, for the years that we've been doing this. We're not the biggest band on the planet, but we are a very niche market that has a very rabid fan base. And I think that if you know anything about music, like you know that those are the bands that outlast the flash and pan bands and things like that. Like the niche market ones, look at ICP, look at any metal band, look at like, you know, I mean, metal bands especially are like niche market with rabid fan bases that grow old with them. You don't see a lot of that in pop or anything like that, but you definitely see it in metal. So it's a very cool place to be.
Totally inspirational. I'm gonna jump into all your stuff and check it all out.
Thank you. And definitely you guys, we're going to be premiering Rise on Gala today, the song. So if you want a song that's going to kick you in the ass, like, I'll be posting it on my timeline, follow along, like click my bell so you get an alert and, play it loud, very, very loud, and it's gonna get you going. So if you need a song for your workout or if you're playing Call of Duty, this is the song. I'm telling you right now, this is the song. So yeah, I hope you guys love it as much as we did. I'm gonna be posting a behind the scenes sort of like making the song too, a little video clip of that as well, so you guys can check out kind of how we do stuff. So.
Well, I just want to say, Emily, it's been such an honor to get to know you from the time we met at NFT NYC to the interview that we had and our conversation and then interacting. It's really such an honor, and you really are the full package. You're the Renaissance woman, the Renaissance person in this space who I really look up to everything that you've done, and I really have a lot of admiration for all of the different areas that you're able to like find focus in and find success in and share with us all. So thank you so much for being our cover girl. Thank you for the interview, and thank you also for being here today. This has been an amazing conversation, and you don't have to go, but I know that your time's limited, so if the mic is yours if you want it.
Yeah, I gotta jump because I gotta get back into this session. We're writing a new song today, and I'm really into it. It's gonna be heavy as well, and I have a lot of aggression to take out on the mic, so I'm gonna go do that. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me and having me on the cover and celebrating my artistic freedom with me. I really appreciate that, and I will definitely be talking to you all very, very soon. Have a great day, everyone.
Well, you guys, how amazing is that? Like Emily Lazar here, hanging out with us, sharing bits of her world, letting us ask questions and dig into it deeper. Riona, was that pretty cool?
Oh my goodness. I'm smiling from ear to ear. I'm just grinning. Like I love her strength. I love her inventiveness. I love how she views the world. I love how she talks about her bandmates. I just love her. So we just have to have her back. And I think maybe we could make it an annual thing or a semi-annual thing or a special issue or something. Vagobond magazine definitely needs to keep cheering for her because she is just the epitome, I feel like, of what we are all building here in Web3. And so, yes, it was fantastic. Lovely, lovely. Thank you.
Well, ER, Quanta, Indefatigable, Cryptoversal. Any thoughts before we move on?
No, man, I'm just coming down on the adrenaline high here. I don't remember the last time I was that excited to get up and talk to somebody. So I'm gonna let y'all take the reins and keep us moving forward.
This was amazing. I have not, I mean, one person who her thoughts and her belief systems are like at another level, and I'm her biggest fan. I haven't heard her music before, but I am a fan of hers.
Yeah, so I have to say that one of the things that I love the most about Emily is that she has this persona, this image that you see. You know, you look at the cover of the magazine, or you look at the photos inside the magazine, and if you're human, you probably immediately draw some conclusions, and then you dig deeper and you find out just how human she is, just how deep she goes, and just how complex this person is, and this personality and everything that she's doing. And you know, we all love books here, and we all know that the covers of books are really important. But I love the way that she uses the cover of her book to sort of like get you to step inside and find out just how amazing all the contents there are. But I am going to reset the room now. So let's move on to what we as editors and readers and writers have all done together. And that's the first thing that you'll find in Vagobond magazine this month, our new issue out now. You can get it. And that is Thread the Story. So Thread the Story is something that we do every issue. We run something in the Discord that allows readers, writers, editors, everybody to put 5 words at a time. You have to wait a certain number of people before you can put 5 more words, and the end result is this. So this is our Thread the Story, and I asked if anybody wanted to volunteer to read it. I didn't get any volunteers, so I'm just going to read it for you. They all gathered with the faintest glimmer of hope, carrying their stories and wares. Friends from different tribes embraced, the voices of many spoke, and the trees whispered to cast spells upon the gathered. An eerie howl, a timid streak, then the magic poured forth. Dancing flames grew ever higher, found fire in her everything, and even the owls of the ancient forest fled, the swirling inferno of psychic death, crying in angst for when they first beheld the eye that foresaw their future sins. While the whales sang their mournful song, yet beyond the sea there are crypto whales and the future mourners. Something different this way comes, brought by pirates of the bountifully alluring Blackbeard's treasure hunt. Then beyond the Kuiper Belt, Blackbeard rode a star whale wearing brilliant red Yeezys and an oversized pair of pantaloons. Perseverance, reflection, Ultesco, Queen Anne, teach, perseverance, reflection, static, Queen Anne's, teach. The faltering AI's queries continued, mutterings, the rantings of a 1980s Commodore 64 with cassette-driven, loose-turning knob, haptic radio fell to static. WTF is this awful mess? Nauseously stammering, the gathering fell silent, and all that remained were silver dreams coated in effervescent dust. Every touch of grays got merged with grateful dead. They found the will and hope to persist through the darkness, for to become truly great, one must embrace chaos and merge wills with mother's love. So that was it, you guys. We made that. That was me, E.R. Donaldson, Quanta, Hank Ryder, Riona Morgan, Odd Writings, Ohm, Arjan, Tupon. All of you guys completely rocked. That was amazing. How'd you guys like it?
Amazing, amazing. And I'm so glad you read it. That was so wonderful.
So good, so good. Just poetry and action and beautiful. Yeah.
This is so wild. The wildest part is that nobody knows how the story is going to turn out, what the next 5 words will be, and the way it spins out of your hand, and it turns out to be something so amazing and so deep. It's haunting, and it's a bit scary also.
You know, Quanta, this was your idea, and like so many of the great things in Vagobond magazine, this came from you, and from all of you guys, I should say. But you just inspired an idea in me. What if we were to have people record audio, and then we put together the audio of people actually saying their 5 words? I don't know. That might be a recording challenge, but it's something interesting to consider. Rather than me reading, then we would have people reading their 5 words in their voices. But we'll see. That's maybe a little bit much in terms of the engineering. So we've got about 10 minutes left. We didn't get very far into the magazine this time, but let's see. How should we do this? Let's just go through and everybody talk about one section. You can talk about your own section or a section that you really liked. And we'll start with Riona, then go to ER, then Cryptoversal, Quanta, and Indefatigable.
Okay, yes. So I'm going to pick the shorter article that I did, the Roving with Rihanna double feature, the music edition, and I want to give like a mini summary of the article and then talk about the gentleman who does this song a day. And so when I was looking for what to do for the music edition this time, I really wanted to find someone that just kind of pops into my feed there on X and see what they're doing and see what they're creating. And what this person has created with Song a Day is he wanted to he was out of work and he wanted to just write a song every day for a month. And that month turned into 15 years. He's been writing a song a day for 15 years, and they're able to be minted. Each NFT is a one-of-one representation of the day's song and grants access to the Song DAO, an organization that controls all the rights and revenue to the songs, and own a piece of the collection that helps govern the future of music. And so his vision is really to bring to light all of, just like in the Web2 writing world, all of the injustices. And so his voice is saying, let's make a change, let's do something different. And he's actually being able to make his living by writing this song a day and all of the interaction. His name is Jonathan Mann, and you can catch him with the. I'll pin it in the nest so that you can catch up with them. But anyway, it was just really, really amazing, and it was so profound, and so I was just really excited to see what he is doing. So thank you.
Noise. Is it my turn? I'll jump in.
Go ahead.
All right. So I got to talk about Sound XYZ, where Emily also has some songs, which is cool. I think there's 5 releases. So get on there. Also, when you share with sound.xyz, you can get paid for a referral link. So if you have a following or you know people who would be interested in the thing, do not hesitate to share those referral links. It's a really cool way of getting rewarded. But the little hidden gem is like snuck as a small tiny link in the corner of the article. I like putting little Easter eggs and things. It's not really an Easter egg, but if you haven't checked out oolala.xyz, it's so worth the trip because it's like a music aggregator that aggregates across multiple different music minting contracts. It is the highlight of what interoperability on Web3 looks like. When you mint on Manifold or Sound or on any of the numerous platforms, you're not limited now to just one particular marketplace. And if that marketplace goes down, your contract can still make your stuff available. It's so cool. And it's cool to see Song a Day is also, it has its own contract listed in the Oolala interface, which is like really, really cool. And, you know, a year ago when we started out with, you know, making music NFTs, and much like our early literature on-chain space, all these standards were just like opening up, and it seemed like it was impossible. But we're seeing like the small army happen, so it's like really, really, really cool to see what interoperability can do and how it helps discoverability. All right, that's my little piece. Thank you for checking out the little article. Yay!
Hey, I saw one Easter egg in yours. I saw, Easy in Crypto in there. That was a fun one for me. I was like, oh, he stuck Easy in there.
I'll go ahead and jump in and grab my 30 seconds here. So I did do a little spoiler-filled review piece on Mortal Kombat 1 and its story. Check it out, but only check it out after you play the game. I do. I don't really pull any punches when it comes to the story and some of my critiques. That said, it is still an awesome freaking game. So make sure you play it first before you can go and check out my thoughts on the direction they're heading and where I think they should go going forward.
Hi. So for the fashion section in our music issue, I wrote about how integrated fashion and music are, and we saw it explicitly clear in what Emily said. They are both story based, and they are both independent of each other. Each one has their own peculiar personality. But then when they collaborate together, it is two strong personalities that are fusing and supporting each other. And the outcome is so phenomenal that you cannot separate the fashion from the song performed or from the artist. So that is the aspect that I've touched on in fashion and music, and also where fashion and music are in Web3. So the article moves towards Web3, and fashion and music collaborated in Web3. We also had a fashion, the Refashion Cafe section, where fashion artists chose a song of their liking, and they interpreted and created fashion art based on that song. So it's amazing to see that song, the essence of that song in their creations, and you should check it out. You will see bits of that song in the look that they have created. That's it for me.
And that leaves our friend Cryptoversal. Anything you'd like to share before we close out?
Yeah, no, I just want to direct people's attention to, in the magazine, the Words to Be Poetry, Words to Be Music project from our friend Sophia, who is doing amazing things at the intersection of music, poetry, NFTs, in English, in French, just expressing in every possible way aspects of creativity that are just amazing. So that's was my highlight for the issue.
And it's a good point, because Sophia, Words to Be Poetry, she was going to come on today, but she wasn't able to make it, which it turns out is probably good because of the limited time that she would have had. So I really look forward to having her on. Hopefully, we'll get her on maybe in the next episode or two. But here's my thing. So last week we didn't know how to close this thing out. So I sort of thought, ER was like, maybe we need to have a catchphrase. So I thought maybe we could just figure out what catchphrases do you think we should go with? The one that I've been going with is, because we're Vagobond, I've just been thinking let's go, or something like that. How's that for you guys?
Hey, that works for me.
All right. Well, okay. So every week we come here, we talk to you guys. Wait, Quanta, please.
I just want to say a quick hello to Svetlana Yakumina and Havoji. I mean, they're from the fashion community, and thank you for coming to this episode and being here with us today.
All right. So last words here. If you've enjoyed this, make sure that you give it a like, give it a share. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find this, also the Web3 Writers Hour, which happens tomorrow at 9 a.m. HST. Just look for it, the Web3 Writers Hour. We'll be hosting that as well. Have usually amazing conversations about writing, about Web3, where the places where they meet. Also, this issue, we have barely touched on it. There is so much in this issue of Vagobond magazine. Go grab a copy today. You will not be sorry. First of all, it's beautiful art, beautiful cover, amazing stories inside, and you will not be sorry that you get it. So go grab it. You can get it on Kindle. You can get it on OpenSea, Rarible, also Object. And it's about $5 a copy. Buy a couple for your friends. It's lattes.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Boom.